All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down a pretty groundbreaking new framework. It's one that teaches AI a skill that, until now, has been fundamentally human, the ability to actually step back, look at its own work, and think about its own thinking. You've probably seen this, right? You've got an AI that can write a symphony or solve some insanely complex physics problem. But then it makes a simple, almost silly mistake right in the middle of its work. It's this weird paradox at the heart of modern AI, and it's exactly the problem we're going to unpack today.
So what's really going on here? Well, the root of the issue is this massive blind spot in today's really powerful large reasoning models. And there's a name for it. Researchers call it a metacognition gap.
This gap, it shows up in a few really obvious ways. First off, they waste a ton of energy. They use the same brute force approach for an easy problem as they do for a super hard one. Then they make these simple little mistakes along the way, like a basic math error, and just keep going, completely unaware. And finally, they often don't have a real strategy. They just dive into a problem with no plan at all.
You know, all of these flaws, they're not separate issues. They all point back to one single missing capability. And it's something that is absolutely core to our own intelligence, something we use every single day, probably without even realizing it.
And that capability is called metacognition. It's literally the ability to think about your own thinking. You know when you're reading a book and you get to the bottom of the page and realize you have no idea what you just read? That moment of awareness and the decision to go back and reread it, that's metacognition. It's like our own internal quality control manager.
Okay, so here's a really great way to think about this. Picture current AIs as a brilliant worker. This worker is unbelievably fast, super powerful, and can get a ton of stuff done. But they're also a little careless and have zero supervision. What's missing is the smart manager. The one who comes in, plans the task, checks the worker's progress, and course corrects when things go wrong.
So if the problem is a missing manager, well, the solution is kind of obvious, right? You've got to build one. And that is exactly what the Meta-R framework is. It is designed from the ground up to be that smart manager for an AI.
And the way they built it is actually really elegant. It just splits the whole process into two different levels. You have the object level, which is our original AI, the brilliant worker, doing all the heavy lifting. And then you have the meta level. This is a second, smaller AI that acts as the manager, just overseeing the entire operation.
So how does this AI manager actually do its job? It's not just watching randomly. It follows this really clear three-step plan for every single problem it gets.
First, it does something called proactive planning. So before the worker AI even touches the problem, the manager looks it over, figures out how hard it is, and picks the best strategy. Then comes online regulation, and this is the cool part. The manager is literally looking over the worker's shoulder in real time, checking for mistakes. And finally, there's satisficing termination. That's just a fancy way of saying the manager knows when the answer is good enough and tells the worker to stop, which prevents all that wasted effort we were talking about.
And get this isn't just an abstract idea. The system actually works like this. The manager AI will send a direct message to the worker AI, basically saying, hey, hold on, that last step you did, it looks wrong. You should probably check it again. It's a real internal feedback loop. Okay, so that's the theory. Does having an AI manager actually work in practice? Well, yeah. The results are, honestly, they're pretty staggering. We're talking huge improvements across the board.
First up, accuracy. Models using this Meta-R1 framework were up to 27.3% more accurate than other top methods. I mean, in the world of AI development, that is a massive, massive leap.
But here's what might be even crazier. It's not just more accurate. It's way, way more efficient. The system could solve problems using as little as 15.7% of the usual computational cost. So it's getting much better results for a tiny fraction of the price. And if you put it all together, this is what you get. While the standard or vanilla models do okay, Meta-R1 is just in a whole different league. It's not a trade-off between being smart and being fast. It delivers the best of both worlds, much higher accuracy for significantly less work.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second, because this is way bigger than just one cool new framework. This could really signal a fundamental shift in how we build artificial intelligence going forward.
The researchers call it a shift towards cognition engineering. We're moving away from just building bigger and bigger models and hoping they work. Instead, we're starting to intentionally design AI systems with structures that are actually inspired by our own minds. And that's how we make them more reliable, more efficient, and, at the end of the day, more trustworthy. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. If AI has now learned how to check its own work, how to self-correct, what's the next uniquely human skill on the horizon? Because as AI learns not just to do the work, but to manage the work, that line between artificial and human intelligence gets just a little bit blurrier.